And we are live. How do you like them apples, huh?
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 172 of the FM Marks podcast.
I'm Jay.
And I am the brainless one.
Wow. Yeah, you already brainless one yourself. Great. Happy day, sir. Happy day.
Is that the fastest? That might be a new record.
It might be. It might be like The Rock at WrestleMania 32.
Oh, come on. That wasn't that quick. That was more like King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 1.
9 seconds where it's really 22.
Yeah. Let's not talk about how the record for that. Never mind. We're not going to get into that. But anyway.
What's up, Monset?
Like we said, episode 172. We got a bunch of really interesting stuff to talk about this week.
Most of it is not actually wrestling.
Like in-ring actual stuff. A lot of, and it's very heavy WWE stuff.
Yeah.
Heavy for two reasons. One, I mean, it's a lot of stuff about wrestling. And number two, right on the top of our list, it gets pretty heavy.
Let's just go to it, man.
So, every once in a while, we like to, pay homage to certain people and what they have done and what they've meant to the wrestling organization or the wrestling world and everything. Wow, I'm overdue today.
Yeah.
Just like with a lot of things, we try to talk about stuff, all the up-to-date stuff, all the stuff that has to do with pay-per-views and wrestling shows and all that stuff. But every once in a while, we have to come back and pay homage to some of the legends who, from time to time, we have to start off with, a sad note. And today is no different, unfortunately, for what today is for me. But anyway, on Thursday, WWE Hall of Famer and one of the greatest wrestling
announcers.
I would say announcers of all time. Howard Finkel passed away at the age of 69. I know he had been dealing with some serious health issues, and he just finally succumbed to them and everything.
I know he had a stroke and just. I mean, I remember when they had the reality show Legends House. Like, he did not look like he was in good shape then, and that was shot in like 2012.
Yeah.
He had put on a lot of weight and just wasn't getting around very well. But it was always good to hear his voice and what have you. I know Edge and Christian loved using him for the Edge and Christian show of awesomeness. So, we're talking about the man who came up with the moniker WrestleMania. He has been, I think he was the first ever employee hired by Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Just think about what Howard Finkel has meant to wrestling fans. I mean, a lot of wrestlers did come out this week, and they all, had very high praises to say about Howard Finkel and everything like that, about what it meant for them, how they really made it in the wrestling business once Howard Finkel said their name in a very big spot. Edge was one person that came out. Steve Austin said had some high praise for him. Triple H, just to name a few. But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the man was part of WrestleMania for how many years? It was like 24 consecutive WrestleManias he was like a part of.
Well, and even after he wasn't part of like the regular show, he would still generally be the person announcing the Hall of Fame class for another few years after that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the last couple of years that they finally, didn't have him do that announcing. Although, I mean, thankfully, I guess, like, they kept him as like an employee the whole time. So,
and it's just very sad because, like, for me, growing up as a wrestling fan, he really stood out just because he had such a polarizing voice, and how a lot of people, no. I mean, it was just incredible what he meant, and we've talked about it in the past, like how in this day and age, people like him and Mean Gene Okerlund never would have made it just because of the fact that
they were balding.
They didn't have the look of like a young strapping guy like
Justin Roberts, who's very well put together, has a pretty good voice, but does not have Howard Finkel's voice.
No, nobody has Howard Finkel's voice. And the closest that we've gotten in professional wrestling, for me, like, it's Howard Finkel, and then next in line would have to be Gary Michael Capetta. Well, you know how I feel about Gary Michael Capetta.
Well, what the heck you call it? See, I forget the new guys. Mike Rome, I love his voice. Like when he did the Shane McMahon like best in the world.
That was
fantastic.
Greg Hamilton.
He's got a great voice.
Greg Hamilton.
He does, but he is not the thing.
No. And it's like, Justin Roberts was good. Justin Roberts was good for a very long time, and I'm glad that he ended up in AEW because he's just too talented of a guy. He has a voice that just fits the moniker of a wrestling announcer and everything like that. But I mean, it's leaps and bounds. Howard Finkel just right up there. And like I said, Gary Michael Capetta is just a little bit, just because nobody could say the Z-Man better than Michael. This is Sting.
Yeah, but really bummer. Seeing this, and I mean, unfortunately, it was one of those things that that was the follow up to all the other shitty news that we got in the wrestling world this week, which was WWE laying off, according to some reports, laying off and or furloughing up to 40% of its staff. Which, holy shit! But I have a whole shit ton of questions and kind of thoughts and kind of pissed off at about this whole thing. I really do. And it all filters back to 2 years ago when Vincent Kennedy McMahon said, I'm going to redo the XFL. And I am starting a new company called Alpha Entertainment, and WWE is not going to have any stake in this company. They're going to be two separate entities. Well, what do we find out this week? XFL files for bankruptcy. Within their bankruptcy filings, what do we find out? WWE owned 23.5% of the Class B stocks in the XFL, which guess what that means? WWE just lost a crap ton of money because the league that they were financing went... The thing that Vince McMahon said was not going to be happened. And what ended up happening with that. So one of the things, hey, they didn't have WrestleMania. That's a big payday for them during the year. But if you put WrestleMania in context of how much they get from Fox and USA and how much they get from the WWE network, do you know how much that amounts to?
And the blood money from the Saudi Arabians.
Do you know how much money that actually amounts to? Not much. Not much for them. And there's been reports out there this week, and I've seen them around. When WWE does house shows, do you know how much money they make? They don't. They lose money. They lose money. So guess what? Not doing a house show, you know what that means? They have more money. And by not having to have their production crews go all over the country, guess what? That's a little bit less money on production costs. And yes, they still have to have people go to Florida. They're having wrestlers risk their lives or put their health in danger by having them come to Florida to shoot, episodes of SmackDown and Raw and having it go fucking live now. That means that there's a whole bunch of people there. Now, I'm sure they're trying to have precautions and trying to, all right, you cannot go to the ring until this person is exited. We are going to put you in some safe and clean room before you go out. I'm sure they're doing stuff like that. But the other thing this week, that on Monday they got deemed an essential business. And ironically, it was right after Linda McMahon had a super PAC that spent $18.5 million for I believe the re-election campaign for President Trump in the state of Florida. How dirty is that?
And also, at the same time, Donald Trump put together a committee of high-ranking sports officials to determine whether or not they were going to resume sports for this year. And in that committee, it consisted of all four commissioners of the major sports. So Gary Bettman, Roger Goodell, Adam Silver, and Rob Manfred. It also had Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, was in it. I believe Jerry Jones was another name that was thrown into that. And I think Dana White was another name, and Vince McMahon. I love the fact that when they posted it on Twitter that the last name that they popped up was Vince McMahon. And it's like, oh, look, WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump has to look out for his BFF and make sure that, whatever That's Good Shit Pal wants, he's going to get. So the fact is, WWE is now an essential employee, and you can't tell me that motherfucker did not go to the governor of Florida and said, "Listen, pal, I got some good shit here, and I'm going to pay you some good shit to keep my good shit going."
So, again, they're basically gaining money by not doing house shows. They're probably suffering some loss in merchandise sales. But beyond that, like, what all of this screams is WWE is not losing a bunch of money, except for they lost money in XFL, which means most of the people that were released, which according to the thing I read, it said the cuts that they have done will give, basically, it's $8.4 million that the WWE is getting back every yearly. So, like, a whole bunch of people had to lose their livelihood because of this, because of the XFL thing, and it, they pushed, like, the other thing that was costing them money is they wanted to move the headquarters. Guess what? They pushed that back now. So it's like they a lot of fuck ups from Vince McMahon with this. I mean, and this isn't even all the fuck ups that he had this week, and not even all the bad press he had this week. Like, literally, I have been contemplating, like, for a while, I'm like, there are certain things with WWE that I'm so fed up with that I kind of don't even want to watch it anymore. And this is just bringing me even closer. It may be a while before I turn back on the TV to watch them.
Luckily for us, we have so much stuff that we could talk about that we don't need to watch the freaking crappy programming each and every week. And it's just, if you think about it, because like right now, NWA not shooting anything anymore because they can't shoot anything anymore. AEW is still hanging on barely by a thread at this point.
For doing shows.
I'm not
going to say barely hanging on by a thread.
Well, but they're barely hanging on, like, when it comes to, like, producing shows. I apologize for that. Let me rephrase what I was trying to say. Not that AEW is going to go under. I think AEW is going to be fine.
But the other thing in this, what other wrestling company has laid people off?
None.
Like, literally, WWE is still getting paid, but yet they slash 40% of their workforce or furlough them. It's fucked up.
Again. Vince McMahon loves money more than he loves anything else. Then I think maybe his grandkids might come in like in the top 7. Obviously after Roman Reigns. And by the way, that was another thing that came out this week that I thought was very interesting, is that they announced and they told all the wrestlers backstage to not mention Roman Reigns anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's kind of skeevy, don't you think? Like, this guy was supposed to be, the handpicked face of the franchise like 5 years ago, and he was main eventing WrestleManias and beating the shit out of everybody. And now it's like you can't even acknowledge his existence now?
I think part of that's they don't know when he's going to come back, but even so, it's like going, what the hell?
Well, the thing is that he stepped away because of this whole coronavirus, because he has, his immune system isn't as strong as a lot of other people's out there, and he doesn't want to risk his health and well-being because of the virus and everything. And I get that. I completely understand that. But it's, with the way that people are making these reports out, the fact that freaking the angry Cheeto over in Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. is thinking about letting states, hey, we're going to have states go and not have the social distancing anymore. And it's like, we haven't really had a big weekend of like a holiday weekend to come up to see how this is going to affect this country. We have one coming up next month. You don't want to risk it. You don't want to let people do these things and get together and get in all these group organizations when Memorial Day is literally right around the corner. And,
well, I mean, to be fair, the president put out certain guidelines of, like, this is what you should do to slowly start to begin to reopen your state, and it's up to the states,
the governor.
So it's not the president saying you must do this immediately.
Oh, no,
he put it in the hands of the governors. Yeah. So you can't blame the president. It would go to blaming the governors for allowing it. I mean, the president's just saying, hey, we can't be stopped forever, so let's just keep this thing freaking. Let's try to roll this thing out, try to get it restarted. Like the governor of Florida basically already started planning his reopening of the state. Florida, I think, is one of the top places as far as the amount of coronavirus going on. Where I would imagine a state like West Virginia that hasn't had a lot of cases. Montana that hasn't had a lot of cases. Maybe those you could start reopening some of the different things.
Yeah.
But one that's still feeling impacts and still raising the numbers. Maybe that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
So
the fact that the governor of Florida basically opened all of his beaches last night, and then you see these, the pictures of all these people that are at the beaches in Jacksonville. And I'm like, I swear to God, can we just get rid of Florida at this point? I mean, I'll find a new basketball team. I don't need to root for the Magic anymore. That'll give me a reason to stop rooting for the Magic. Just get rid of Florida. Just let it not be part of this country anymore. We'll just swap it out with Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico could be the 50th state, and Florida can go fuck themselves. There you go, done deal. But then it'll be fucked for Vince, because that's where the Performance Center is in Florida, and obviously we can't do that, because that's all that matters is Vince McMahon in his pockets.
Well, the Performance Center, I don't know, is necessarily his pockets. I think we discussed this a little bit last week with, maybe we didn't get into this, but so Vince McMahon in his contract with Fox and USA, he's only allowed a certain number of pre-recorded shows in a year, and allegedly the reasoning for him, wanting to go back to doing live shows, was specifically so he could adhere specifically to those contracts, which again is I'm pretty sure that if he would make a phone call to Fox and to USA, they'd be like, no, dude, do not worry about this. The health and safety of your workers and your wrestlers is more important than you adhering to this contract. There are people that have to fly into Florida and or stay in Florida now, even if they don't have a house, and either be away from their families or, be in contact with people they wouldn't necessarily be in contact with. And we don't know what kind of safety measures they're doing. I'm sure they're doing some, but come on, man.
It's terrible. It really is terrible. And it's just mind blowing to me, because if you think about it, you had the situation with the NBA over a month ago where you had one of their players, Rudy Gobert, thought he was going to be funny and touched all the microphones and recorders from all the people in the media. And then it's like, oh, Rudy Gobert has the fucking coronavirus. And now the NBA has been shut down. And then the NHL is shut down. Major League Baseball hasn't started yet. Major League Baseball has no idea when the fuck it's going to start. And there's even talks the NFL draft is going to happen next weekend, like it typically does, but they're all streaming. All the general managers are going to be at home doing all their things, and they're going to be at home and sending their picks, socially, which I thought was actually interesting. I know it's a wrestling podcast,
but what if somebody hacks one of those accounts?
It's actually funny because on Monday, what they're going to do is they're going to have a trial run of what the NFL draft is going to be, and I really hope that they do this too. And I hope they freaking they put it on ESPN or something like that, because Monday they're going to have a practice round of the NFL draft, and all the teams are going to draft legendary players.
Right.
So if the with the Bengals being first overall, they could take somebody like Anthony Munoz or Jerry Rice, or the Giants could take Lawrence Taylor again or something like that, and then the Patriots can take the greatest Patriot of all time again, Rob Gronkowski, so that we or Teddy Bruschi, or Troy Brown, or Kevin Falk, or whoever, anybody but Brady, because fuck that guy.
Well, I mean, he's still playing, so you can't draft him.
He's still a legendary player, though.
So on top of things like that, one thing that did come out from the mayor of Los Angeles this week is he does not foresee any large gatherings or sporting events happening in the Los Angeles area for at least a year, and or until there is a vaccine for the coronavirus. You know what that means?
WrestleMania 37.
WrestleMania 37 is in jeopardy. It gives them much time to figure out something different than Los Angeles. Maybe this is the time we finally get it, whether it's in London or some other country. Who the fuck knows? So, there are a lot of questions going forward with wrestling, and one of them already is WrestleMania 37. We already got what we got this year for WrestleMania 36, and I think they did pretty damn well considering.
God damn it. They got about 2 years then. They gotta come up with a vaccine, and they have 2 years to do it. Just 2. Because there's no way, shape, or hell, I can't even freaking talk today. Wow, this is one of the worst performances I've ever had. There is no way, shape, or, yes, I know. that the Iron Sheik's going to show up at WrestleMania 38 if there's a slight possibility that the coronavirus will impact it. Because we need Sheiky at WrestleMania 38. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Unless he shows up at WrestleMania 38 and he puts the coronavirus in the camel clutch, breaks his back, and makes the freaking coronavirus humble, because that's the only person going to do it. We need Sheiky.
But no, I mean, I think they'll probably hold off as far as the decision is, having WrestleMania in Los Angeles until next year, and they could probably even wait until a couple of months beforehand before they end up making a final decision.
Yeah,
whether they bring it. Well, I don't think they'd bring it to New York, but if there is a place that is not coronavirus filled that has a stadium. If they go to Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City,
they're gonna have WrestleMania in Antarctica. Brock Lesnar versus 12 penguins.
Hey, you know what? Maybe they could do it on Brock Lesnar's farm in Canada. Apparently, there's an awful lot of room there.
I mean, it's a lot of land for him and Sable to do unmentionable things.
Right. Our main audience is here, by the way.
I know.
Why do you keep looking up there then?
Because I look like I'm just looking at. I just can't stop looking at myself.
Yes, you can look at yourself down there, though. SummerSlam, is that in LA this year? I think you're right, man. It might be in New York or LA.
That's a really good question.
I'm gonna keep talking.
So yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that with all the sports that are going to be canceled, that are already canceling right now, it looks
it's in Boston.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Home of WrestleMania or SummerSlam 2005, I believe.
6.
Okay.
Hogan versus Orton was at SummerSlam 2006 in Boston. I have yet to forgive myself for the fact that I could have seen Hogan wrestle one more time in 2006.
Yeah.
I also haven't forgiven myself for the fact that I could have watched Hulk Hogan call it the MetLife Center, brother.
So they're at the TD Garden in Boston, and I'm not 100% sure about how wide the spread the outbreak is, but I'm going to guess at that point they're not going to be able to have an event like that with that many people in that area. So,
especially because you got a lot of people that are coming from the state of New York and New Jersey and that area. And right now, that is the super red hot area of coronavirus in this country.
Well, the thing with SummerSlam is an international affair, so there would be people coming from around the world, which would not happen.
Oh, I know.
And they could fill up, if they were given the okay, they could fill up the Fleet Center with people, or whatever the hell it's called now, TD Garden.
Now, hey, I'll tell you right now, I bet you that Cruise of Jericho doesn't look as stupid anymore to Vince McMahon. That's the next thing, especially after what we heard, what they're going to do with fucking Money in the Bank this year. That is the.
All right, we're there.
All right, so it came out last night on SmackDown that they're having Money in the Bank, and where they're going to be having Money in the Bank is in a place that you would never think of, in an order that would surprise you. That's not bad.
Right.
They're doing Money in the Bank from WWE headquarters in our home state of Connecticut. And what the premise is now for Money in the Bank is that they're going to put the briefcase on the top of the roof at One Titan Tower, and they're all going to start on the ground floor, and they're going to make their way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. They're going to have to climb the corporate ladder. Vince, just kill yourself. That's all. I've been holding it back. I'm done. I'm officially done. This is I am fucking done moment with Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I said it yesterday. If I was locked in a room with a gun with 2 bullets and I was in the room with Vince McMahon, Vince Russo, and fucking Dave Meltzer, I'd shoot Vince McMahon twice. There. I said it. I said it, I meant it, and I'd say it again. And that says a lot because everybody knows how much I fucking hate Vince Russo. Man who fucking killed Owen Hart and got away with it. Superfly Jimmy Snuka finally got convicted. When are they going to convict Vince Russo, huh? That's what I fucking thought. But I'm fucking done with Vince. This is now the dumbest fucking thing he's come up with since the whole Katie Vick storyline. I am so fucking done with that senile, crusty old fuck. Fuck you, Vince. What are your thoughts on Money in the Bank?
I think the wrestlers will pull it off, and I think it'll be a fun, cinematic style, crazy, one of the craziest things we've ever seen. It's like when we heard about the Firefly Funhouse, we were like, what the fuck is this? And it ended up being something where you're like, well, that was different. Just like the Boneyard match, we were like, what the hell is this going to be? Well, that was different. I mean, I'm hoping that they could carry off something unique with this. Whether or not I'm watching it, like at this point, is very like, I'm up in the air. I am so like, fuck Vince McMahon and fuck what's going on. I mean, laying off people when either you don't need to or you lied to your investors a couple of years ago, and because you lied to the investors and you invested money into a league that, because of the coronavirus, went defunct, you had to lay off wrestlers. That had nothing to do with the XFL, you know, and I have nothing against Vince trying to do the XFL. I have nothing against, you know, him having to lay off all of his XFL employees because, you know, it was a startup league and they needed to do well.
Yeah.
And
it definitely looked like they were in the right direction to actually last longer than one season. And it's just, I think it's a shame that the freaking coronavirus killed the XFL because, like I said, I think that the XFL had a real opportunity to actually be something different and something that can actually sustain for a little bit longer than one season.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely like a lot of things. But so add on top of that this week, the not so good press for Vince. And now, mind you, this is something that probably the mainstream media and what have you does not report on a lot. The wrestling community, the folks who are marks like us, know about this. And it's a long time known story. It is the Dark Side of the Ring this week was on Jimmy Snuka in the that he murdered his former girlfriend accidentally, where you know supposedly she got a hit on the head and that ended up eventually causing her to die. But more or less, after like there were bruises all over her body, and you know the coroner more or less said like there was a knock on her head and that caused the main issue. But more or less, after she had fallen and hit her head, Jimmy Snuka just went to do his matches in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Didn't do it, call for help, didn't do anything till he came back and she was in really rough shape. Then he called. And what did Vince and Kennedy McMahon do? Jimmy Snuka was one of his biggest stars, and Vince was like, I think he had very recently bought the company and ended up I mean, he had a briefcase. They don't say exactly what was in the briefcase because they don't know what was in the briefcase. But all of a sudden, the police in Allentown just kind of stopped having leads. And, you know, Superfly's story, I guess, was that, like, oh, we were driving and, you know, we stopped at some truck stop and, you know, she fell and knocked her head. And you end up finding out that the sheriff, like, never found out that the Tonga Kid was in the damn car. Tonga Kid during this thing had never heard the story of like, oh, she tripped and fell. Then like Tonga Kid comes out and says, oh yeah, it was a great ride. We had fun, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Jimmy's story is that she fell and like you could see him like going, oh. Because he didn't include that as part of his story. And the sheriff never actually interviewed or investigated the Tonga Kid being in the car and finding out if she actually fell. So they just swept this fucking thing under the rug and most likely, allegedly, from a briefcase worth of cash paid to somebody. What the fuck? I mean, he paid to get somebody making him money off of murder. And lied to investors. A lot of people now got fired, and like he's doing all these things to get himself like in a good position to make money, and he's just fucking a bunch of people over right now.
And I believe that was Monsef said that what the fuck is wrong with Jimmy Snuka? it's like it could have been anything. I mean, it could have been drugs. It could have been, he could have had like too many concussions, and the CTE did him in. But I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, we'll never know. I mean, eventually, his girlfriend who passed away, her family finally got justice a few years ago. I mean, just like Cheech Marin once said in Ghostbusters 2, rather late than never. They finally filed charges against Snuka. He finally got nailed for it. He ended up in prison. Unfortunately, Snuka was in a really bad shape in that point in his life, and he only served like a couple months maybe of that term.
Well, the thing was, the judge actually considered him incompetent to stand trial, but he died I think they said in the Dark Side of the Ring it was like 10 days after he had been declared incompetent. I think he had pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
He was gone. So, I mean, the man, maybe he paid a little bit in his brain because, you know what? He knows what really happened. And maybe he sat there for years and years and years and, I did this to somebody. So the only person was in his mind. But he got out there and had his chance to live the rest of his life. And, it's just a shame.
Yeah.
And I believe her name was April Esposito. I should check that out. She was like 23 years old.
22. That I remember because I was trying to remember what her name was. I want to say it was like Gordano or something that began with a G. But I mean, it's interesting. And we were, and like when last year when they came out with the first season of Dark Side of the Ring, and I was really intrigued by that whole thing. And like from Nancy
Argentino.
Nancy Argentino. Oh, Monsef beat you, Jay. I'm sorry. Monsef got us to Nancy. Very well done. Nicely done. Yep, Nancy Argentino.
And when this is saying she was 23.
Oh, I could have swore I saw 22 somewhere. Maybe it was just maybe I just saw it. Maybe it was a misprint somewhere.
Yeah.
But like when they started doing this whole Dark Side of the Ring last season and everything, I thought it was great. I loved every episode that I watched last year. And of all the episodes, the one that really stuck out the most in my brain that I don't even have was the Bruiser Brody one.
Right.
Because a lot of people didn't know anything that went on with the Bruiser Brody thing. There was a lot of hush-hush and everything of that whole situation. And I'm glad that they shed a little bit more light on the story of what happened to Bruiser Brody than what has been said over the years from wrestlers, and the fact that Tony Atlas wouldn't even say anything to anybody because of what happened. And
he thought he was going to get killed.
Yeah. So with this year, the stories, I was actually intrigued by the whole Superfly Snuka story. And the one story that I was looking forward to the most this year is the episode that's coming out this Tuesday. And I know if I'm excited, I know you're 10 times more excited than I am about that one. And that's the Dino Bravo story that's going to happen on Tuesday at 10 o'clock on
absolutely
Vice
on Vice.
TV. Vice.
And Vice comes out with them on YouTube almost immediately. So
very well done. I love what they do. Those guys on Dark Side of the Ring are just wonderful.
Well, they're great storytellers, but it's like going, holy shit, this story is so effed up. I mean, the Brawl for All from a couple of weeks ago, I mean, good storytelling. The Chris Benoit one, it's like, fuck, man. Like, something that I've enjoyed for almost my entire life has so much fucked up stuff involved with it. But
I remember when the whole thing with Dino Bravo actually happened back, 25 years ago, something like that?
I think it was 92 or 93.
Yeah, it was like 20 some, almost 30 years ago. And I just remember being at a 7-Eleven with my dad, and I looked at the wrestling magazine because this is before I got my subscription to it and everything. And I just remember it was like The Life and Times of Dino Bravo, and I went, holy shit, that was how I found out that Dino Bravo died. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. Because, for the most part, it's like how it is now when somebody, I mean, obviously it's a little bit different now, but back in the day, we used to find out when somebody died was when they would do it right before Raw. They would have a little video package or whoever it was, whether it was somebody legendary like Andre the Giant, or if it was somebody, who was still wrestling at the time, like an Eddie Guerrero. I mean, obviously Eddie came out through the radio and the internet and everything like that. But that's how I found out about Dino Bravo. It was kind of like how I found out Mr. Perfect died, was because I watched a video of 10 wrestlers who died recently, and that's where I saw Mr. Perfect. I went, what the fuck? But
So speaking of Mr. Perfect, one thing I do want to bring up is with the cuts that WWE made this week, Curtis Axel was not one of them. He was not one of them.
Wow.
I was he is a good hand. He when The Rock came back, when Brock Lesnar came back, who did they use to train those guys or get the ring rust off? They used Curtis Axel. So they have a lot of faith in him as what he could do in the ring, but you don't see him on TV very much. But Curtis Axel, dude keeps on trucking. But
I fucking love that guy.
But this list here that they have of performers on the main roster, pretty extensive.
Go ahead, fire away.
All right. So as far as wrestlers, they put him as a wrestler, but really as an agent at this point. Kurt Angle, Drake Maverick, Kurt Hawkins, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Heath Slater, Eric Young, EC3, Aiden English, Leo Rush, Sarah Logan, Eric Roman, Primo, Epico, Mike Kanellis, Maria Kanellis, Zack Ryder, No Way Jose, and Rusev. And now there are a couple of names that weren't on the list, but they have been moved to the alumni section of WWE. Cassius Ohno and Rey Mysterio. Longtime referee Mike Chioda was released this week. To me, that was the one I was like, what?
That one really upset me. I mean, Mike Chioda's a GOAT.
And then as far as NXT, they announced like 4 names: Tino Sabatelli, Cesar Bonani, Mars Wang, and Tainara Conti. There were a whole bunch of other names I saw.
Deonna Purrazzo was one of them.
That did not end up on a list anywhere, but they're not there anymore. And I think it's mostly because they were not on TV.
And a lot of people that were I think these are the people who got furloughed. They didn't get let go. I just think they got furloughed. Guys like Fit Finley and
Helms.
Hurricane Helms.
What's up with that? Lance Storm.
Lance Storm. Really
Mike Rotunda.
Mike Rotunda, the GOAT, who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Billy Kidman, just to name a few of the people.
Now, most of the producers, I'm told, I remember reading, are furloughed.
Yeah.
So when things start back up again, they will be brought back.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah.
But when everything's going to actually start happening again, we don't know.
No, nobody knows. God, I don't even think knows. So I had to go there, but I did.
So for me, the name on this list that kind of ticks me off the most is the Rusev one. They have mismanaged and mishandled this guy for so damn long. He basically turned almost everything that he touched into gold. And his story's not exactly the same as Wade Barrett's was, but one of the things that he tried to do, he tried to constantly evolve his look. He tried to tone up his body, he got much more muscular and just doing everything he could to have WWE said, hey, this guy's really doing something. He's really trying something. We need to invest in him. Rusev Day, that was the highest selling thing of merchandise for quite a while.
Fuck, I got it.
And why the hell didn't they what the hell was it? It was in Boston, but they had a pay-per-view where he and Aiden English were going for the tag team titles, and that crowd was going to erupt if they won. And for whatever fucking reason, I think it's because Rusev got himself over.
Shock.
Without them planning it, and they didn't give them the tag team titles. That they, again, if you're going by crowd reaction, if Vince McMahon's going by the money and what have you, they should have put the titles on them. They could have probably gotten even more from merch. But I think because Rusev kind of stuck up for himself, like when he didn't feel he was being treated properly, he had no problem telling people, I don't feel like I'm being treated properly. And he'd sometimes go on social media, sometimes say it in interviews. And it's like, Vince, come on. You could print money with this dude, and because he got over without you, You fucked him over. Another guy in a similar case, fucking Zack Ryder, got himself over with the Z True Long Island story. They give him a couple of moments, winning the U.S. title from Dolph Ziggler, and later on winning the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania
32.
And like, the guy got himself over, and just because he got himself over, no, we don't like that. And fuck this guy.
Yeah.
It just pisses me off beyond belief that they wasted opportunities with these people. Rusev is not, Daniel Bryan in the ring.
No.
Neither is Zack Ryder, but you don't have to be. John Cena isn't either. But you know what? You need to be serviceable in the ring, and both are more than serviceable and have had many fine matches with people throughout, their time in WWE. And it's like, what the fuck?
And as upset as I was about finding out that Rusev was one of the people who got released, and he was the last name of people who got released on Wednesday when they had their big fire sale of getting rid of everybody on Wednesday. Yes, I was a little upset about Anderson and Gallows getting released, but
AJ Styles was
upset,
very upset. He thought it was his fault,
and it's like it was just poorly. And somebody had brought it up online, and they were like, "Well, it's just it's like they didn't properly use freaking Anderson and Gallows." I was like, "Yeah, no shit." Because when they won the Raw Tag Team titles, they had them lose to fucking goddamn Roman Reigns in a 2-on-1 handicap match. It's like, you can't book your fucking tag team champions that way. But it's because Vince doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's fucking retarded. And I don't even give a shit if that's not politically correct. Vince is fucking retarded. Vince just needs to go. Period. One way or the other, Vince needs to go. Come hell or high water, Vince needs to go. And I tell you right now, once he finally leaves this earth, and he will, when he dies and he goes down there, because God only knows he ain't going up there, Satan's going to be like, I've been waiting for you, my replacement, and he's just going to hand his freaking pitchfork to Vince McMahon, because that's what Vince is. Vince is the fucking devil. But it's like, and of all the people who got released, the one that really, like, there was a few that really tugged at my heart. Because, like, yeah, Zack Ryder busted his ass for a very long time in WWE. He had a quasi-successful run in WWE. And think about it, he's only one championship away from being a Grand Slam champion. He had a WrestleMania moment. The night he won the United States Championship from Dolph Ziggler, that place fucking erupted. Zack Ryder is, in my opinion, well above the fucking Coco Beware line.
Think of the night when The Rock came back and tagged with John Cena against The Miz in R-Truth during Survivor Series. Mm-hmm. You would think the whole crowd would be absolutely bonkers for The Rock. What were they chanting the whole fucking time? Woo, 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 because fucking Zack Ryder was so over at that moment. They were selling the damn spiked hair stuff. They were selling
spike your hair.
I think they were selling like the internet championships. Like
yeah, they did.
This dude lived and breathed WWE ever since he was a fucking kid. This is all he wanted to do. And Vince McMahon just did not take advantage of the opportunities.
Zack Ryder was one of the ones that really hit me the hardest. Rockstar Spud, aka Drake Maverick, that one really, like, his video, I mean, that really tugged at my heart really bad. And a lot of wrestlers backstage were rather disappointed about him getting released. And, because he was because from everything I've been reading about all the releases and everything, Drake Maverick was the constant professional. He was well-liked, well-respected in that locker room, and everybody was pissed off when he lost his, or not really pissed off, but they were very saddened and disappointed by him getting the release. And it just proves how stupid Vince McMahon is. They come out here and they relinquish the title from Jordan Devlin because of this whole coronavirus, because he can't be the Cruiserweight champion because he's kind of stuck in Scotland or Ireland or wherever the hell he is right now. And then they decide they're going to do a tournament to determine the interim Cruiserweight champion, and they put Drake Maverick in the fucking tournament. And then they release him, and I'm like, how fucking stupid can you be? But he as the constant professional he is, he's still going to be in that tournament, and he's still going to be. I would love nothing more. The only way they could redeem themselves from all this bullshit that they've done with this is if Drake Maverick fucking runs the goddamn table and wins that fucking title, and they keep him, and then he gets to keep his job. But it's not going to happen.
Now, if this was all part of a storyline to do that, but he had real tears. They were. He is not. As much as they're kind of actors in the WWE, they're not like that good. As for like, this is all this guy has ever wanted to do. The fact that he's like 5'0" and weighs 100 and nothing like fucking Rudy, and he has made it to, you know, the top of the food chain as far as a wrestling company, all through hard work, sacrifice, and just sheer force of fucking will.
Yep. And
he was a hell. You know what? Like, even when he was in TNA, the fucking like the match he had with EC3, I think it was a no holds barred match. He got his ass freaking handed to him, but fucking A, man, I have so much respect for that dude.
Yeah. I just, but of all the releases that happened on Wednesday and over this week, the one that really hurts me the most is Mike Chioda. Mike Chioda, who's been a referee for WWE since 1989. Mike Chioda, when he started out as a referee, had a fucking mullet. And he has worked his way up. And when Earl Hebner quit WWE because of what happened in the Montreal Screwjob, Mike Chioda became the senior official. Mike Chioda has been a staple of the wrestling business, especially for WWE, considering he refereed matches in 5 different decades, which is incredible for what he is able to accomplish. And then they just let him go like that. It's just that one bothered me the most because Mike Chioda was definitely one of my 2 favorite referees.
Right.
I mean, he's not Chad Patton, but I mean, he's still Mike Chioda.
Chioda's my favorite of the referees. Just, I mean, again, it comes back to like it feels like the fact that they had to let these guys go is specifically because of the XFL. If Vince McMahon kept to his promise of this will be just funded by me and we will have zero ties with the WWE, honestly, I'm no lawyer, but I think this might be a problem for him with the SEC. You know, like the SEC does not take kindly to when you tell investors one thing and you do the exact opposite of what you said. Now, I don't know if this is criminal. I don't know if he'll be brought into court because of this, because I know WWE has been brought into court because of the Saudi Arabia shows, because a lot of pensions are actually tied up in like WWE stock. And it's been like firefighters and police departments and different locales in the United States have invested in WWE, and like because they were either lied to or some things were not brought to light that should have been brought to light to investors. It's like they could be in trouble here.
Yeah.
We'll see how all this ends up kind of washing out, but it's going to probably take a little while for all of it to happen.
I hope Vince catches the coronavirus.
So, Monsef is talking about Heath Slater. Heath Slater got kids.
Oh, God, I mean, that poor guy. I mean, it just a lot of them. It was unnecessary. I mean, Sarah Logan being the only woman on the main roster who lost her job it's just saddening in itself. And the fact that fat bitch fucking Nia Jax gets to keep her fucking job. The fact that EC3 and freaking Zack Ryder and fucking, Drake Maverick lose their jobs, but the Fat Show gets to keep his 7-figure contract. Because I know Eric had said something about the fact that the Big Show gets to keep his contract. And I know he's making well over $1 million a year.
Well, heck, so all the people they cut, literally, I think they could have saved all the money that they cut if they just cut Brock Lesnar.
They paid Cain Velasquez $5 million.
I think a lot of that was...
Tyson Fury got 15. Did you really need Tyson Fury?
Wait. In all fairness there, that was paid by the Saudi Arabian government. That was not, like, WWE.
Goldberg got $2 million.
But, like, Brock Lesnar, I believe, makes $12 million a year. With all the cuts they've made, they saved $8.4 million a year. If they cut Brock Lesnar alone for now, not that he shows up anyway, like, if they cut him for now, and then they re-sign him come next April before WrestleMania or next January before WrestleMania and said, all right, we're doing shows again. We can pay you. Come back. But no, instead of firing one guy, they decided to fire 40% of their fucking staff. I understand that Brock Lesnar is a fucking draw, but
an attraction.
But come on.
We need to get to the bottom of this because of the fact that there was no big reported thing about freaking the fucking Mauler of Meatloaf getting released. We need to get to the bottom of this. Did Cassius Ohno lose his job? We need to know this. This is very important.
The catering budget would probably go down immensely.
Oh yeah, I mean, the money they're going to say they could have just fired Cassius Ohno, and there you go. There's your $8.4 million because that's how much he would have eaten in freaking catering alone. Oh my God, I need to know this. And Rey Mysterio too. Oh.
Now the Rey Mysterio one, I'm not sure why this one happened. I don't know if maybe he was one of the high priced people. I don't know. With that one, there has not been a lot of talk about it. Mysterio hasn't come out and said anything, and he just kind of quietly was put to the alumni section. Who the fuck knows? But Mysterio, I think in this past run, has put on a lot of really good, solid matches, and it's clear his goal right now, or the mission that WWE had for Mysterio was to help put the new Latino stars over. Mm-hmm. And I think he did a pretty damn good job as far as having good matches with most of them and just, good little bits of storyline. He had the match with Lesnar. He had a lot of matches with Andrade, matches with Garza. And again, this might be a temporary thing for a lot of these people, but also I think this speaks to when AEW started, Vince McMahon wanted to pay a bunch of people a bunch of money to keep them away from AEW and kind of had the roster probably a lot larger than he needed. And, I think that's what some of these cuts are, but again, 40% of your fucking staff, but yet you're the only thing that's actually still putting out a live product every fucking week. You're not, at this point, you lost money with WrestleMania, but you're not really losing much money as far as gates go because, as we discussed earlier, they were losing money on house shows. Maybe they might make money with Raw and SmackDown as far as having attendance there and selling merchandise. But they're making a shit ton of money from Fox and USA, and they're making money off the fucking WWE network. They're still selling merchandise. They've got revenue streams coming from all over the place. I just don't know why they had to cut so much.
Because Vince McMahon.
So it just, again, none of the other wrestling companies at this point have cut anybody. What the fuck?
I don't have words for it because I'm still trying to just comprehend everything that has happened in wrestling. This has been the last 3 or 4 days of this week, wrestling wise, it's just been so fucking bizarre between 8,000 people losing their jobs when they could have just fired a fat piece of shit who they just gave a stupid fucking show to on Netflix. And all he does is just going to make face and heel turns. And it's that could have been part of the thing. Then you lose one of your legendary people, the day after all these releases happen. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And then the day after that, you're like, oh, well, we're going to have Money in the Bank at One Titan Tower. And we're going to have we're going to have them climb, go up from the first floor all the way up to the roof to get the freaking briefcase. And it's when Vince is up there on the roof for that, I will pay every cent I make for the rest of my life if somebody pushes him off the fucking roof.
Dinosaur bones from his office and stab him with it.
I want him to catch the coronavirus. That would be my mark out moment of the year, is if that fucking old crusty fuck actually catches the coronavirus. Yeah. He's got to go away. I'm sorry. He's got to go away. WWE will not be good until Vince McMahon goes away. And I'll tell you right now, Vince, you don't want me hoping for you to catch the coronavirus. Why don't you ask Nia Jax what it was like when I said that she needed something to happen to her? When I predicted that she was going to tear both of her ACLs. Huh? Why don't you ask Nia, Vince? Contract the virus, Vince. Contract the virus.
So much of I'm like fucking speechless at this point. It's like that. How much, man? How much is? You know what? That's true, Chris Brown. Vince McMahon does not like sneezing or coughing because he can't control it. That's probably why he hates the coronavirus, because guess what? He can't fucking control it. And part of the thing that you get with coronavirus is fucking sneezing. What the fuck?
Coughing, fever, sore throat, shortness of breath.
Diarrhea.
Well, they ask me every fucking day at work, do you have any of these symptoms? No, motherfucker. Have you been traveling internationally? Yeah, after I got out of work yesterday, I flew all the way to fucking Paris and then came back just so I could be here today, so I don't have to be here for 2 weeks under quarantine. You stupid motherfucker.
I'm just going to throw this out there. I know it's a wrestling podcast, but I just want to ask everybody who's out there, how are you guys doing during like the self-quarantine and self-isolation stuff? Are you guys doing all right out there? For us, like I'm still working. He's still working. I'm mostly working from home, but sometimes the brain gets going on you and it's like, what the fuck? So
Justin Thunder Liger just said that he can't get over the fact that the Money in the Bank is going to be in the Titan Tower. It's so fucking stupid.
Like I said, I'm intrigued by this, but I'm also at this point kind of like so fed up that I might not watch WWE for quite a while. It might be forever.
No, you gotta put a little bit more. You gotta make more sense of that. You're still gonna watch the network.
I will still watch the network. I will still watch like Clash of the Champions 13.
No, you can't not watch Clash of the Champions 13.
Yes.
In fact, maybe that's what we should do from now on. Maybe what we'll do, we'll just be like Angela Kinsley and frickin' Jenna Fisher, and we could just do like every week. We'll just break down a certain thing, like an old school pay-per-view, and we could break down Clash of the Champions 13 on a week-to-week
match by match.
And we could do Victory Road 09, I think it was
11.
Victory Road 11.
So yeah, Chris, I've been doing some of the hobby stuff too to try to keep my brain from occupied and what have you. Hell, man, Chris, I mean, something we discussed, but like. Whether we have some things in the works, but dude, if you want to write a column for us on the F and Marks Facebook page, man, we'd love to have other people's input, because like I've got so much, despite the fact that that I'm at home most of the time. Like home feels like work now, so I'm not feeling a whole shit ton of inspiration while I'm here. Because I'm at fucking work or things like that. So I didn't see that Curtis Axel was released. I didn't see that in the names, man. But like my brain has not been super creative. Like the first couple of weeks it was, but like now I'm at fucking work.
Oh, that's a crying shame, isn't it, Cousin Jay?
But I would love to be able to write more stuff for our Facebook page and do more things for it, but like my brain is just almost like stagnant, man.
And also, Chris, if you don't want to do it for the Facebook page, you can send us stuff on. You can send it to us at thefnmarks@gmail.com if you want to do a column, because I do have something else in the works. I've been kind of putting it off because it's still kind of like a project that I'm still working on, and I'm trying to get it to be where it needs to be before I start.
Before we launch it and promote it.
Yeah.
So.
And goddamn, this fucking coronavirus needs to go away. We need to do total brainless annihilation. I need to prove that Kenny Omega is the most overrated piece of shit in wrestling history.
We can still do total brainless annihilation. We just have to have social distancing. Literally, there's a field down the street, a football field, that you can sit there and wrestle against a blow-up doll.
I am going to wrestle against a blow-up doll. It is definitely happening.
Yeah.
Happy. Have another one, brainless one.
Yeah.
I'm not even drinking.
Yeah, Chris, our email address is super easy. thefnmarks@gmail.com. So.
Yes.
Yeah, Monsef, dude, if you want to write too, we're completely game for that. I mean, hell, I could set up you guys and give you like administrator privileges and let you guys do your thing, I mean, I would say like, just give us a heads up of what the hell you're talking about, and
because I'm going to start writing too.
so,
And I'm just going to be the angry bastard that just hates everything about wrestling.
right. But, well,
I'm just going to be James E. Cornette.
right.
Oh, and Corey's not even here to be like, like I said about Cornette. You can't disrespect Cornette like that.
Right.
Ooh, Bert.
So, man, oh man. But, yeah, one thing I've wanted to do during this is I've wanted to redesign our logo and put a new logo out there, maybe even get some new shirts out there.
Wow.
We'll see.
Governor Dickhole in Connecticut is now requiring people to wear masks, which we're used to that now because for the last 2 weeks, the same thing with Ralph Northam down here in Virginia.
Yeah.
But Tommy just said that he shaved his beard for the first time in over a decade.
Yeah.
That's an FMR's Hall of Fame move right there if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
And I have to wear one at work too, Tommy, because I was deemed an essential employee, even though I'm not going to see the extra money that the essential employees are getting. And it's just kind of disheartening that I have to go in there and risk my life every single day at work. And people who got laid off and all this stuff are making more money a paycheck than me. So that is what it is. But it is what it is. That's all I can really say. I've been saying that a lot lately. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
And Tommy, if you have time and feel like writing, we'd love everybody to kind of contribute and maybe grow the community a bit and have something to do while all this shit is going down.
You know who I blame for all of this? Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Oh, for the first time in a while, you did not blame Obama.
Yeah.
Or the orange Cheeto. Yeah.
The angry Cheeto, not the orange Cheeto. He's an angry Cheeto.
Angry. Okay.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's
sad too, Tommy.
Honestly, I don't even blame Trump anyway.
This was out of his hands as far as the coronavirus goes.
So don't worry, people. In 4 years, when I win the presidency, 4.5 years, I should say, when I win the presidency in 2024, where I make America the GOAT again, I'm just going to bomb the shit out of fucking China. There, I said it. I'm going to make sure Vince McMahon is in China when I do it, too.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah?
Yeah.
One thing that didn't get brought up, today's a very important day.
It is?
Yes, it is.
Wait. It is?
It is. You see, first of all, nobody's actually said anything about the fact that I'm wearing a Detroit Red Wings.
Nobody said anything about that. But
I mean,
I don't know if you saw it earlier, but our boy Eric did make mention of what today is.
Did he?
He did.
I am sorry, Eric. I must have missed that.
Yeah, because you're too busy looking up there instead of.
And I'm just gonna put it out there right now. When I was writing up the whiteboard for our show today, and thank you, Tommy. I appreciate that. It was eventually going to happen where we were going to do the podcast on a important day. I mean, for me, I don't really like today during the year.
It's fine. Come on.
But when I was doing the whiteboard.
Happy anniversary to you and yours, Tommy. 11 years, man. Then freaking impressive, man.
I saw you guys are going to be having, what was it, cupcakes, I think it was? So Kevin Owens is going to be at your house to celebrate your 11th anniversary. That's awesome.
Great.
But when I was doing the whiteboard and I was putting the amount of days since my favorite part of the podcast happened for 172 episodes, and I saw that it was 1717, and I laughed. Ooh, sugar cupcakes too. Ooh. And I saw that when I wrote the date out, and an inside joke that I had with a bunch of my friends from Connecticut, and I kind of I chuckled about it. I said it's only fitting that that's the number for today, and it actually is my birthday and everything. Anybody want to guess how old the brainless one is today? I already know you know.
Yeah.
I already know that a certain somebody else who's watching this podcast knows how old I am today. In fact, in about 4 minutes, it'll be officially when I turn
that number.
Age. So
yeah,
that's why I've kind of been looking at the clock a little bit because I know that eventually I'm going to hit that number. Anybody want to guess how old the brainless one is?
Hit it quit it.
Ooh, Rib House from East Haven.
Okay.
Speaking of food places in Connecticut, did you know that J. Timothy's is closed?
Yes.
Hopefully not for good.
Sad.
No, I'm not 90. You know what? That's it. I'm stripping him from the Hall of Fame. This is just like when Reggie Bush lost the Heisman Trophy. Saying I'm 90. Ugh.
I mean, sometimes you make sounds as if you are 90. So.
No,
You're not even going to say anything. He says congratulations to you.
I think he was saying congratulations to Tommy for 11 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Foreseeable future. Tommy, I'm not going to make it to 90. Let's be serious for 2 seconds. I've done a lot of damage to my lungs and liver over the last couple decades. I know for a fact I ain't making it to 90.
Hey, Grandpa Guy made it quite a ways, and he did a lot of damage to his lungs and liver.
He actually smoked. I found out about my grandfather that he smoked for 50 years. Didn't even know he smoked, period. But he smoked for 50 years cigarettes that were so bad, they actually banned them from this country. And the man still lived to be 96 years old.
It's possible, brainless one.
I mean, anything's possible, as Kevin Garnett once said in 2008. Anything's possible. I don't think I'm going to make it to 90. Let's be serious.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. And I'm not even going to say it, but
yeah.
Anyway, I am 37 today. I turned 37.
Yes.
The big 37, which means I am now in my late 30s as opposed to my mid 30s, like I've been for the last few years. So, yeah,
it's all right. I'm about to descend into the mid 40s soon enough.
Yeah, but you look good for the man who's in his 40s. I look like a bag of shit for a guy who's in his late 30s.
I don't think Nicole would agree with that at all.
I know that Nicole wouldn't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
But you know me, nobody is a bigger critic of me than myself.
Right. Well,
I am my harshest critic and everything.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been.
Mm.
And Tommy's 42.
Yeah.
I mean, 40 also, in his 40s also.
I mean, I wish we had a 40 to celebrate that, but so literally this morning, because during the Easter season, I decided I was giving up alcohol and caffeine. So basically, up until last week's show, I was going, all right, no, I'm staying alcohol free. I went out to the store this morning specifically to get the 40s. They didn't have them at the grocery store, and I could not based off social distancing and trying to limit the amount of places I'm going. Mm-hmm. I'm I can't go to another place, especially the place that was closest on the ride home. I don't think they cleaned it since 2010. So I didn't want to go into that store and I just didn't. So I was kind of sad. I wanted to reinvigorate the Colt 45 portion of the podcast today, but
it's a very, very sad day.
It happens, man.
By the way, Monstef might now be my favorite person that watches the podcast.
He could be. He could be a follower of the year.
Oh, he's definitely going to be follower of the year after that comment. Saying I look like I'm in my late 20s. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't look my age. I really don't. A lot of people are like, "You're really that old?" And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." Man. I still got carded for alcohol, so I must be doing something right. But thank you everyone for the birthday love today. Yeah.
And glad to hear that most of the people out there are at least doing relatively okay, except for I think all of us being kind of stuck inside, all the ones who have been stuck inside are kind of after a while, it's going, I can only walk my dog so much.
He's loving it.
He likes it and all that stuff. But again, I'm still within the same general radius of the house. Yeah. I could take him to the park down the street, but even so, I'm only getting away for a little bit. I'm away from the house for, if I'm lucky, about an hour, maybe. And then I come back here and I feel like I'm at work. Even if I'm downstairs trying to relax, I'm I'm at fucking work. And it's just, I've been doing my best again to do hobby stuff. Mm-hmm. I've been editing some videos, but that the creativity dried up a couple of weeks ago once this started not feeling like home anymore. Mm-hmm. So, and anytime I've had the opportunity to see people, because on occasion I will go out and see people, but I'll be like, are you sick? Have you been sick? Have you been in contact with people who have been sick? No? Okay, I'm not sick. I have not been in contact with anybody that's been sick. All right, let's go hang out. I've done that.
The poll's already been swabbed like 2 or 3 times. I know it's been at least 2. It might be 3 now.
So, but you know, it's kind of rough when you're kind of in that enclosed space. It definitely makes me have a lot of empathy for the folks who go into the like nursing homes when they're older. It's like nobody goes to visit them, and they don't really get to go out much. I understand why they want to go to the fucking casino and sit there and have their ventilator and smoke their cigarettes and have like all 20 passes to the different casinos that they have and sit there and like it gets them out of the fucking house. Gets them out of the house. So yeah, man, fuck.
And that's the one thing that really pisses me off about the fact that the coronavirus happened this year is that my birthday actually fell on a Saturday, and God damn it, I could have been at Buckets betting on fucking exactas and trifectas until my fucking face turns purple.
And now you have to do it either from home or on your phone.
Ah, it's so fucking stupid. I hate the coronavirus. Not as much as I hate Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man, Tommy, that's something you kind of have to do. A 3.5-hour drive by himself the other day. One of the things I kind of want to do is there's a state park in Virginia. It's about 2.5 hours away, and it's a thing called the High Bridge Trail. Mm-hmm. They have literally like it's a bridge super high above this river, and it goes for like 30-something miles. And I'd love to take my fucking bike there and just go, but like there are so many like. So one of the things that they finally kind of let me do is at work, I've gone in a couple of days, but they're only allowing one person from my department in. So it was nice doing that. But it's like, if I go and do that trip, I can't really tell anybody about it, and I can't take pictures of it, or I can't post any pictures of it anytime soon because they'll be like, yeah, you can't come into the building.
Yeah.
And I would understand them saying it, but it's like, but I didn't come in contact with anybody.
There was nobody there.
So, you know, there are things like that. But, you know, I wouldn't mind actually getting in my car with a full gas tank and just going for a while. Because, you know, one of my favorite things, highway driving's okay. I prefer like the country roads where you get to drive like, you know, 50, 55 miles an hour and have my fucking windows down, fucking Tom Petty roaring on the fucking radio and just be like, this is fucking it,
Free falling.
Fucking it, man. Running down a dream, you wreck me, fucking A.
Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Yeah.
I can go all day.
What? But, man, oh man, it's been weird.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I talked to Corey, and he's like, you know, I've been practicing for social distancing for well over a decade. I was like, you're an asshole.
No,
he's right. But he's right. He's like, dude, I'm the ultimate. He's like, I'm the ultimate introvert. He goes, he's like, I go to work, I come home, I go in the man cave, I pour myself a whiskey and a Dr. Pepper, and I play, you know, the Xbox. And, you know, that's what he does. And he said that with all this going on, like, because of the fact that he's home almost every fucking weekend, and they're not really able to do anything. He's like, I'm going to fire up the network, and I'm going to start watching, like, Clash of the Champions, or I'm going to watch,
13.
or I'm going to watch Bash at the Beach, or I'm going to watch, you know, Road Wild. What is it?
Road Wild.
Wild.
That was the one where they would go to Sturgis every year, and like literally the bikers wouldn't pay anything. They would just have the show, but like all the bikers would just randomly just all start revving their engines during the middle of like fucking matches.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. So, but yeah, it's definitely been interesting whether like no sports, interesting from the fact that like you just don't feel like you can be a fucking American and do what the fuck you want.
Luckily for us, we have Jason Bateman on the wonderful show Ozark.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some good shows that I've been
Thank God
watching.
for the fucking Tiger King, too. Jesus Christ.
So I ended up watching, like, that new episode that they had. I didn't like it very much. Because, I mean, it was just like a wrap-up thing, and it, like, I don't know. It wasn't very good. I didn't like it.
Sad.
Yeah.
It's going to be great when Donald Trump pardons him. I'm hoping to God it happens. If he pardons the Tiger King, he wins by a landslide. You heard it here first.
He'll get at least extra 18 or 19% in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think I still think he ends up winning because I don't think anybody's going to want to put Joe Biden in. But then again, they're stupid. Never mind. I'm going to not play the political card anywhere. I'm not going to play the political card.
You already did, but yeah. Hulu has a TMZ special report on the Tiger King. Hey, I might check that out because that did look interesting. Like, I think that Hulu actually got the main folks involved in the show where Netflix, for whatever reason, just like they got kind of the secondary people. They didn't get Carol fucking Baskins. They didn't get Doc Antle. They didn't get,
I think Joel McHale's doing the one on Hulu too.
He did both of them?
Oh, then he must have did the other one. Never mind.
He did Netflix.
Okay, maybe it wasn't Netflix. Maybe it was not the Hulu one. I knew it was one of the two. I forget. I haven't seen it yet, so.
It was, in my view, it wasn't that good.
I'm trying to.
There were a couple of decent revelations, but in general, it's like.
Excuse me. I've been trying to balance a nice balance of Ozark and The Office for the upteenth time. Office.
Right. But, beside that, I've been like purging and cleaning like the house. Like in general, the house is usually pretty clean, but fuck, man, I've been going through closets and like found some old stuff. And I brought up last week, I found what for me was the holy grail of my wrestling fandom, which was the ticket to my very first wrestling show that WWF had in Bristol, Connecticut in Muzzy Field. I didn't think the ticket existed. And apparently my mom kept it and she had sent it to me a while back, and going through some of the different things she had sent me over the years, I'm like going, holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this really was there, man. So after Mark's Hall of Famer, Tommy is binging Prison Break and Married with Children.
I actually started binging Married with Children with Nicole. So I'm right there with you. I fucking love that show.
I watched the Amazon Prime show The Hunters, which was pretty good. It wasn't great, pretty good. I'm pretty psyched that they just released a new season of Bosch. So I'll probably get into that pretty soon. And me being the Jesus man that I am, I've been watching some Jesus stuff too. So,
Jesus. I like him very much. But help me with my problem.
You trying to tell me that Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Greatest line in history of movies. Don't even argue with me. Boys was fantastic. I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, season 2, man. It's going to be great.
Wait.
Go watch Naruto. It's good for waiting time. Wasting time, I'm guessing. Yeah. Hey, any thoughts on shows for us to go through, man? Let us know. Because after a while, you sit there and within your own sphere of people, you're like going, oh, I've already watched all that stuff. What else is out there? You know what, Tommy? I have not seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I've seen the promos for it, and I just haven't quite gotten into the show. I think I might have started watching one episode, and for whatever reason, I might have been in a bad frame of mind and just didn't latch in onto it. So
I just wanted to bring this up because of what's happening in this world, and I'm not talking about the coronavirus. This morning when I woke up, it was pouring rain out, like an absolute freaking washout. And now I'm looking, and it's about 2 o'clock or so,
and it's not going to be a washout.
It's not going to be a washout. Whereas the wonderful people in the wonderful state of Connecticut got snow today. So that's my birthday present from Mother Nature. That Connecticut got snow on my birthday, and it is extremely sunny out right now, and I am so happy.
But thankful for everybody out there who's actually tuning into us as part of at least something to hopefully keep your mind off of the other stuff, at least for a little bit.
And if you do like what you see, whether you are a returning person or somebody who's just stumbled upon our podcast today, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Periscope, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKS. If you like, follow, and subscribe to us on all those outlets, we will do the same. It's always been our moniker. Also, make sure you tune into the Wrestling Marks page, which is facebook.com/WrestleMarks. And make sure you set the notifications so that when we do go live on the podcast, you will be notified. Also, read a lot of their freaking content. I can't tell you enough about how much I really enjoy reading the stuff that they have on their page. It is it's very good. It's very informative. And I'll tell you, I find out a lot of stuff that I missed just going through there. They have a lot of the recaps and everything. Those guys are awesome. So kudos to those guys for doing what they do. You guys definitely have a fan in the Brainless one, and I'm really glad that we have this partnership.
So Chris was talking about how he watches World War II documentaries. Me too, man. Like, I have an absolute fascination with World War II, with all the madness that was going on with that. If you want to, like, a lot of the Ken Burns documentaries are fucking awesome. Like the one I watched on the Vietnam War, I mean, it's like 10 parts and it's about 20 hours, but we all have a whole bunch of fucking time right now. I'd say, it's worth watching if you're into history stuff. Mm-hmm. The baseball documentary from all those years ago, mm-hmm. The National Parks documentary. There's crap like that out there. Obviously, there are a shit ton of wrestling documentaries, whether it's on the network or whether it's some that were done outside of it, like the Andre the Giant one done by HBO was really good.
The Ric Flair 30 for 30 was excellent.
But if you're talking like WWE ones, like one of my favorite was like Rise and Fall of ECW, the Rise and Fall of WCW, the Jake the Snake Roberts documentary. All those are fucking fantastic. And speaking of Jake, so Jake apparently decided to show up at AEW tapings this week, and like Jake you can tell has been having issues with his possibly like not being sober anymore. The isolation is really getting to him, and his thoughts have kind of been really eating at him. And DDP, being the fucking saint of a human being that he is, brought Jake the Snake into his house. Like, they're keeping social distance and all that crap, but at least Jake gets to fucking see people and hopefully not fall back into the pitfalls of all the shit that he was into, and hopefully continues living well, and hopefully continues to be a good example for his kids and for his grandkids, and stays alive. Mm-hmm. So
I think we forgot to do one thing.
Yeah?
We forgot to do our good, bad, and brainless for this week. But anyway, yes, you're right. Good kudos to you, Diamond Dallas Page, for doing what you're doing for Jake the Snake, because I can only imagine what he's going through, and just anything that could be a bright spot in his life is just a tremendous thing. So anyway, that was that.
And before we get to good, bad, and brainless, we do want to congratulate the New Day on being the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. As much as I think it's a little bit soon to take the tag titles off Miz and Morrison. I don't know if this is punishment for Miz showing up and having the flu during WrestleMania, which inevitably caused Roman Reigns to decide to back out of the championship match. I don't know. But hey, you know what? New Day have been, a top line tag team for over 5 years, and you can't say that about very many teams outside of like the Usos.
Yep.
So good on them, man.
Yep, agreed. So what is your good for this week?
I'm going with Diamond Dallas Page, doing what he's doing for Jake the Snake. That man continues to give of himself without expecting anything except for I think for DDP, the thing he gets off on is helping out people. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want money. He doesn't want his friends to be suffering. Right. And fucking good on you, DDP. So that's my good for this week.
My good this week goes to Dolph Ziggler. After all those releases on Wednesday, Dolph Ziggler wore a Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins t-shirt on SmackDown last night to kind of show support for his friends who both lost their jobs on Wednesday. I thought that was a very wonderful gesture by Dolph Ziggler, and I'm happy that he was able to do it. And it just proves that like people like that who have friends in the industry and they still support him, even though they lost their jobs. That speaks volumes of Dolph Ziggler. I've always liked Dolph Ziggler as a human being, so I thought that was really nice of him to do that.
A side note with Dolph is one thing that was brought out this week when Cody Rhodes was talking about Zack Ryder having his WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 32 and winning the Intercontinental title. He talked about how Dolph was the one to try to give Ryder all the space in the ring, but he was the one who pulled Zack's dad over the railing. That was not a planned thing. Dolph Ziggler brought him into the ring so he and his dad could have that moment together. Yeah. So if you want to talk about fucking solid and doing right and doing a solid thing as a human being and letting like a father and son share that moment in front of allegedly 1,000 people, fucking A, man, good on you, Dolph, and making that moment happen. So that fucking great.
Bad.
My bad and brainless are more or less from the same tree. The XFL having to file bankruptcy here. They stopped operations the week before, but they officially filed bankruptcy this week, which, again, this doesn't officially say, like, this is the end of the XFL, but it most likely is the end of the XFL, which led to all the other, in my view, if you were sitting there drawing the lines, led to a lot of people in WWE getting laid off when they were not supposed to, according to Vince fucking McMahon.
Okay. My bad this week goes to all of the releases that happened on this entire week, actually. I was going to say Wednesday, but as the week progresses, it just seems like more and more names are getting put out there and everything. And it's just like you said, it was the way that it happened with everything with the XFL going under and filing bankruptcy, and then coming to find out that WWE had shares in it. And it's like, this is their way of like trying to make up for some of the money that they lost. And they were able to shed like $8.4 million. And it's like in a trying time like this, where you have people who are basically risking their lives to go into work each and every day, and then you get yourself to be a essential employee from the governor of Florida, and then it's like 2 days later, you're like, all right, get the fuck out, and you get rid of like a whole bunch of people, and it's like it's stupid, and especially at a time like this where there's so many people. The fact that 10 million people have already filed for unemployment in this country, which
22 now.
It's 22 now? Jesus Christ. Okay. It must have been 10 million in like a week. But like 22 million people have filed for unemployment, which is insane. It's never happened a number like that in the history of this country. And it's just, and it's baffling that you basically laid off all these people. And to top it off, you gave them the 90-day no-compete clause.
Some of them, the NXT ones, I believe, are 30-day.
Okay.
Even so, my only hope with that is I hope you're paying them for the next 90 days. I mean, that fucking dick move.
Yeah.
But even so, I don't think those other companies are hiring right now anyway.
Yeah.
So.
That's why it was my bad, but not my brainless. Brainless.
I mean, my brainless is going with Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I mean, lots of bad press for him this week. Lots of, just in general for me, either bad decisions, corrupt decisions, and it's all about making money and like not showing what I would say is a lot of care for. I can't even call the fucking wrestlers his employees. They're fucking independent contractors, and that's another bullshit thing that's been going on for a long time in WWE. Undertaker has never been an employee of WWE. He's been an employee of Mark Calloway the whole time. You can't even you could say Howard Finkel was a fucking employee of the WWE, but like you can't say that Undertaker is. He's wrestled for WWE, but he's the proprietor of Mark Calloway.
Hulk Hogan.
So, they're Vince McMahon doing what he did in a whole is just like, what the fuck, dude? Like I said, I may be taking a long break from WWE. I really have to think about this a bit more. I will still watch some of the old school, WCW stuff and ECW stuff, but fuck, man. I'm so just. I was teetering with them continuing to do the Saudi Arabia shows. Now I'm literally getting ready to fall off the WWE cliff and just start. If I'm watching wrestling, I'll watch something else.
Okay. Well put. For me, the brainless this week does go to Vincent Kennedy McMahon, but not because of what's going on with all the releases and all the bad press he's getting. It's because of the fact that this stupid idea that you're going to have for Money in the Bank. It's like, you got away with doing some gimmicky shit at WrestleMania. The Boneyard match was fantastic. The Firefly Funhouse was fantastic. But other than that, I mean, WrestleMania was it just lacked a lot of luster because of the fact that there was no fans. So what you're going to do is you're going to have it at headquarters. You're going to bring people into Connecticut, which is not too far from the border of New York, which is at the epicenter of where this whole coronavirus is causing problems. People are dying in astronomical numbers in the state of New York, and you're going to risk having your people go up through that to actually invest.
I hope that they're flying on the WWE private jet. That way, like, they don't have to go in contact with other people.
And it's stupid that you're going to do this. It's one thing that you're going to have them go down to Florida and do all these tapings down there. But the fact is that you really are bringing them in to, like I said, right into the belly of the beast of where this freaking coronavirus is right now, because it's New York. And to give you some kind of insight on this, I have to tell the people at my job about whether or not I've come into contact with or I've been to the states of Connecticut, New York, or New Jersey in the last 2 weeks. Because if I've been in those states or have come into contact, so basically if my mother comes down to visit me here, I can't work for 2 weeks. I'm under quarantine. Even if my mother doesn't even have the virus or come in contact with anybody with the virus, if my mother comes down to visit me, that's an idea. I might have to call my mother and see if she wants to come visit me. But I'm telling you,
sitting in the house is not as fun as you think.
True, but anyway, but that's the reason why it's my brainless, is that you're bringing Money in the Bank into the belly of the beast of where the coronavirus is spreading and taking a lot of lives. So,
yeah,
I think that's it.
Wait, I think there's one more thing left.
You're not going to sing Happy Birthday, are you?
I'm not going to sing Happy Birthday.
God, I fucking hate that more than anything else in this world.
But there is an effing Marks Hall of Famer
who's still employed by WWE.
As far as we know.
That today, on my 37th birthday, April 18th of 2020, at an astonishing 1,700, and Tommy wants to chime in on this.
Oh, boy.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to add him.
I'm going to pause the music. What's up, Tommy?
Hey, guys.
What's up, Tommy?
So do you have actual something somewhere where it says that he actually was cut? Because I was looking around before the show, and I'm like, I can't find it anywhere.
It was for Cassius. It was, I want to say it was on WrestleZone.
Okay, what about Curtis Axel?
That is definitely his name is definitely in the list of let go employees.
Tommy, I'm going to say this as nicely and as politely as I possibly can. Even if Curtis Axel is no longer an employee at WWE, he is still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble. I can assure you.
Just like you think Hornswoggle's still alive, even though he isn't.
Jay, get out your guitar.
Get out my guitar, all right?
Yeah.
Ask and you shall receive.
Play Happy Birthday.
I don't know if I know how to play it. I know parts of the Beatles song, the birthday song. See, I don't remember it. There you go, man.
Thank you, Tommy. I actually appreciate that.
The guy in the red.
You see, I would just have to wing it. Yeah. Anyway.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Nice.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just felt like playing the Ultimate Warrior.
That's fine.
Since, I started trying to learn real American a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my goodness, that'd be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. It's something around that. But anyway.
I think Tommy should be the one that announces it. Tommy should announce it that today on April 18th. Come on, repeat it. Come on, Tommy, say it with me.
With gusto.
2020, Curtis Axel is no longer alive.
Is still alive
In the 2015 Royal Rumble, baby.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to episode 172 of the F Marks podcast. I'm Jay.
I am the brainless one, the birthday boy.
Yeah.
And that is F Marks Hall of Famer Tommy. Make sure you mark out
with your guac out. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in.
Stay safe, stay healthy out there, everybody.